You can work from sunup to sundown. You can grind, hustle, and pour your energy into everything you do. You can burn the candle at both ends, give 110%, and still find yourself exhausted, depleted, and stuck in the same place. Why? Because effort without direction is like a ship without a compass. You can be moving, but you're not necessarily going anywhere. Let me tell you something that will change the way you see success. Wisdom is greater than effort. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 4:7, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting get understanding. That means wisdom is not optional, it is essential. It's not a luxury of the elite, it's the foundation of elevation. You don't become successful by working harder than everyone else. You become successful by thinking differently, seeing differently, and acting with discernment. The world has glamorized hustle, but God has called us to be strategic. You don't need to be everywhere, doing everything. You need to be in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time. That's wisdom. Hard work is honorable, but it is not always profitable if it is not directed by knowledge. We've raised a generation that believes that 60-hour days are a badge of honor. But let me ask you this. What good is a 60-hour day if you're climbing the wrong ladder? If the wall you're leaning on wasn't meant for your purpose, then all that labor is in vain. What if your effort is being wasted because you've mistaken motion for progress? Wisdom teaches you to pause and evaluate. Wisdom says, before you pick up that plow, check the soil. Before you invest your energy, examine the return. It tells you to measure before you build, to plan before you pour out, and to pray before you pursue. God is not calling you to work yourself into the ground. He's calling you to rise into clarity, to operate out of vision, not survival. Let me bring this to where you live. Some people are working 2 or 3 jobs, grinding non-stop, and still barely making it. And you're thinking, Lord, what more can I do? But the question is not always how much more. Sometimes the question is how much better. Are you managing your gifts wisely? Are you making choices that multiply your time, your energy, your talent? Or are you caught in a cycle of activity with no advancement? Let me tell you, wisdom will show you what to say no to. It will help you realize that busyness is not always productivity, that being tired is not always a sign of progress. You can sweat in circles and still not move forward. Wisdom shifts your focus from doing everything to doing the right things. When you work smart, you align your actions with your assignment. Wisdom also teaches you the power of delegation, automation, and innovation. Jesus had 12 disciples not because he couldn't do it all, but because even the Son of God understood the importance of multiplying effort through others. You don't have to be a martyr to be successful. Learn to build systems, learn to trust people, learn to focus on the high-value areas that only you can handle. That's working smart. There are people working hard out of fear of being irrelevant, fear of being left behind. But when you have wisdom, you move with confidence. You stop chasing every trend and you start building on truth. Wisdom gives you peace in your process. It quiets the noise and helps you hear the voice of God. Because when He orders your steps, even a little bit of effort produces great results. And let's talk about the mental and emotional toll of hard work without wisdom. It leads to burnout. It robs you of joy. It keeps you busy but not fulfilled. You're checking boxes, but you're not growing. Wisdom, on the other hand, is sustainable. It brings balance. It knows when to push and when to pause, when to fight and when to flow. There are some blessings that don't come through grinding, they come through guiding. Guiding your mind, guiding your emotions, guiding your time, guiding your energy toward what matters most. When Solomon asked God for wisdom instead of riches, God gave him both. Because when you have wisdom, wealth and success follow. Why? Because you won't waste what you've been given. I want to challenge you today to shift your mindset. Don't just ask, what can I do? Ask, what's the best way to do this? Don't just ask, how can I hustle more? Ask, How can I think better? Stop working harder to build something God never told you to build. Work smarter to build something that honors His calling on your life. Wisdom doesn't just get results, it gets lasting results. So as you go forward, understand that your strength is valuable, but it's your strategy that will bring victory. Don't just work with your hands, work with your head. Don't just labor. Learn. Don't just move, master. Because success isn't found in exhaustion, it's found in excellence guided by wisdom. You don't just have time, you've been entrusted with time. Every minute, every hour, every day is not just a passing moment on the clock. It is a divine deposit from the God who created you with purpose. When we talk about working smart and not just hard, it starts with how we manage the most priceless resource we have, time. Because how you handle your time reveals how you handle your destiny. See, time is more than hours and minutes, it's the currency of purpose. You can recover money, you can rebuild a house, you can restart a business, but you cannot rewind time. Once it is spent forever. That's why Paul told the church in Ephesus, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Ephesians 5:16. In other words, stop wasting time and start investing it in things that bear eternal fruit. Stop living reactive and start living intentional. Stop letting life happen to you and start happening to life. Some people are not failing because they lack skill. They're failing because they lack structure. You're not behind because you're lazy. You're behind because you don't have a system. And let me tell you something, God is a God of systems. When He created the heavens and the earth, He set times and seasons. He didn't just make creation, He organized it. He scheduled the sun to rule the day and the moon to govern the night. He designed your life to flow in rhythm, not chaos. If you're going to succeed, you must stop treating time casually and start treating it as sacred. Every minute has a mission. Every hour carries weight. Some people live as if they have forever, but let me remind you, even Jesus said, I must work the works of Him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. John 9:4. Even Jesus recognized the urgency of time. He didn't just have purpose, He prioritized it. One of the smartest things you can do is to learn how to say no. Because every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Your yes has a cost. Some of you are drained not because of what you're doing, but because of what you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. Your time is being devoured by distractions, by obligations that were never yours, by people who are pulling you off your path. You've got to protect your time like your future depends on it, because it does. It's time to stop glorifying busy and start honoring balance. Busy people fill calendars. Productive people set priorities. And those who walk in purpose don't just count the hours, they make the hours count. If your schedule is full, but your soul is empty, then you're not managing time, time is managing you. And that's not kingdom living. That's survival. Let me break it down for you. Time management is not just about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about aligning your daily activities with your divine assignment. What you do with your time reveals what you believe about your calling. If you say you're called to write, but you never make time to write, then your actions contradict your confession. If you say you want to start a business, but your time is consumed by entertainment instead of education, then your schedule is sabotaging your success. And let me go deeper. How you manage time shows how much you trust God. When you overbook, overwork, and overload yourself, you are operating like everything depends on you. But when you prioritize time with God, time in prayer, time in planning, time in rest, you are declaring, Lord, I trust you to multiply what I give you. Because when you give God your first fruits of time, He blesses the rest. That's not just good planning, that's faithful stewardship. Working smart means you build boundaries around your time. You don't let people steal your attention with every notification. You don't let emergencies become your lifestyle. You design your day before your day designs you. You set time to dream, time to grow, time to reflect. You make space for what feeds your vision. You remove what drains your energy, because success doesn't come from doing everything, it comes from doing the right things with the right timing. Let me speak to those who feel behind. Maybe you feel like time has slipped through your fingers. Maybe you wasted some years, some opportunities, some seasons. Hear me, God is the Redeemer of time. He can restore the years the locusts have eaten. He can accelerate your progress when you walk in purpose. But you've got to stop letting your past steal your present. Time is too precious to spend it mourning what you can't change. Start today. Be intentional. Be focused. Be wise. Because success is not just a matter of how hard you work. It's a matter of how well you manage what God gave you, and that starts with time. The difference between the fruitful and the frustrated is not always talent. Sometimes it's just time management. The successful don't have more time, they have more clarity. They make time serve their vision. They don't work harder. They work smarter, and they do it with stewardship, not stress. So I ask you today, how are you managing what heaven gave you? Are you treating time as a gift or letting it slip like it's nothing? Your future is shaped by how you spend your present. Don't waste it. Don't rush it. Don't fear it. Steward it. Some of you have been pushing with all your might. You've been pressing, straining, lifting, trying to make things move, trying to break through barriers with nothing but your bare hands. And let me tell you something, it's not that you lack strength. You're strong, you're determined, you're faithful. You've got the heart of a warrior. But strength alone is not enough to build legacy. You don't win battles by muscle alone, you win them by methods. You don't need more force, you need a framework. When you study the lives of successful people, whether they are entrepreneurs, leaders, or inventors, you will discover a pattern. They stopped depending solely on effort and started developing systems. They realized that smart work is about multiplying results, not multiplying exhaustion. If you are constantly drained, constantly overwhelmed, constantly doing the same tasks over and over again, you don't just need rest, you need a system. Because a system saves you from self-destruction. Let me make this plain. Imagine trying to lift a boulder with your bare hands. You might strain every muscle in your body, and maybe, just maybe, you'll move it an inch. But someone else comes along with a lever, a pulley, or a forklift, and they move that same boulder with a fraction of the effort. Why? Because they had the wisdom to use tools. God gave us intelligence not just to survive, but to strategize. He didn't just call us to grind, he called us to govern. One of the most dangerous lies we've been told is that hard work alone is the path to success. But the truth is, without systems, your hard work has a limit. Your energy has a limit. Your time has a limit. Even your focus has a limit. But when you build systems, whether they be routines, habits, schedules, automation, or delegation, you step into a realm of multiplication. What took you 10 hours before now takes 1. What used to drain you now drives itself. You can pray for more time, you can cry for more help, but sometimes the break, through your asking for, isn't in heaven's hands, it's in your habits. God is waiting on you to steward what you already have. The strength is there. The passion is there. But you've got to organize your life in a way that it doesn't break you while you build. A system is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. Systems are what separate starters from finishers. Anybody can start something by sheer adrenaline. Anybody can get excited for a week, but it takes structure to sustain. It takes process to grow. Ask anyone who built something great, a business, a ministry, a movement, and they'll tell you, I couldn't do it all myself. I had to build something that could work when I wasn't in the room. That's working smart. That's building like a king and not just laboring like a servant. And let me tell you this, even in Scripture, God operated with systems. He didn't just create the world in chaos. He followed a pattern. Day 1, light. Day 2, sky. Day 3, land. Day 4, the sun, moon, and stars. And when he got to day 6, he created man after the system was already in place. You see, God didn't put man in the chaos. He put man in a completed environment. That's what Eden was. It was a system of supply, provision, and order. So if God, in all his omnipotent power, operates by systems, why are we trying to build our lives by raw strength alone? If your business is falling apart, it may not be because your product isn't good. It may be because your systems are broken. If your ministry is burning you out, it may not be because you're not anointed. It may be because you're trying to do everything yourself. You need systems. You need to delegate. You need to automate. You need to standardize. You need to write things down. You need to create processes that turn chaos into clarity, because a chaotic life will choke your creativity. You were not born to manage madness. You were born to master your environment. And hear me, building systems doesn't make you cold. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're robotic. It means you're wise enough to design a life that works with you, not against you. Systems allow you to do more of what matters and less of what drains. They free up your energy for vision, for relationships, for rest, and for growth. Now, maybe you've been saying, I don't have time to create systems. But let me challenge that if you don't have time to build a system, then you'll always be stuck in the system. You'll always be reacting instead of leading. You'll always be fighting fires instead of building futures. What you build today in discipline will save you tomorrow in destiny. So yes, work with your hands, but also work with your head. Step back from the grind long enough to ask, how can I do this better? How can I make this repeatable, sustainable, and scalable? That's not laziness. That's leadership. That's not avoidance. That's advancement. Strength might get you started, but systems will keep you standing. Success doesn't go to those who work the hardest. It goes to those who work the wisest. You don't need more hustle, you need more structure. Stop breaking your back when you could be building with a blueprint. Don't rely only on your strength when God is giving you strategy. Success is not a solo act. Destiny is never reached in isolation. You cannot get to where God is calling you by yourself. I know the world tells you to be independent, to grind alone, to trust no one. But isolation is a trick of the enemy. It keeps you locked in cycles of burnout, pride, and limitation. The truth is, your greatest breakthroughs often come through collaboration. You're praying for acceleration, but God is sending you association. If you study Scripture, you will find that whenever God wanted to do something great, He brought people together. He formed divine alignments. He orchestrated strategic relationships. Moses had Aaron. David had Jonathan. Ruth had Naomi. Paul had Silas. And even Jesus, the Son of the living God, did not walk this earth alone. He surrounded himself with 12 disciples, built relationships, and empowered others. Because he knew the mission was too great for one man to carry. See, working smart is not just about having good ideas. It's about having the right people around you to help those ideas grow. You may have the seed, but someone else has the soil. You may have the vision, but someone else has the vehicle. You may have the anointing, but someone else has the administration. When you isolate yourself, you limit yourself. But when you collaborate, you multiply your impact. Some of you are exhausted not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing it alone. You're wearing every hat. You're making every decision. You're fixing every problem. And it's killing your creativity, draining your passion, and slowing your progress. You've got the strength, but you don't have the support. And let me tell you, support is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. God never designed you to carry the weight by yourself. You've been praying for a miracle, but sometimes the miracle is a person. A partner, a team, a mentor, a friend. God will send people who see what you don't see, who carry what you can't carry, who sharpen what you can't sharpen on your own. Iron sharpens iron. Proverbs says not solitude. You can't sharpen yourself by yourself. Growth happens in relationship. Strength is refined in connection. But here's the challenge: many of us have been hurt by people, betrayed, let down. So we build walls to protect ourselves, not realizing that those same walls are also blocking the people who were sent to bless us. You can't ask God to enlarge your territory and still isolate your heart. You've got to heal enough to trust again. You've got to open yourself to divine partnerships, because the enemy knows if he can divide you, he can defeat you. But when 2 or 3 agree, heaven moves. Don't mistake being surrounded for being connected. You can be around people and still be alone. True collaboration isn't just about proximity, it's about unity. It's about shared vision, shared values, shared victories. When people come together under the right spirit, carrying different gifts, submitting to a higher purpose, that is where exponential growth begins. Look at the Tower of Babel. God himself said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them." Think about that. Even when their motives were wrong, the power of unity was so strong that God had to step in. So imagine what's possible when your unity is righteous, when your collaboration is led by the Spirit, when your goals are rooted in purpose. You are one relationship away from a new level, one conversation away from clarity, one connection away from capacity. And sometimes the smart thing to do is not to work more, but to link up, to partner, to ask for help, to delegate, to say, "I can't do this all by myself." Because pride will have you isolated, but humility will position you for elevation. God designed the body with many parts for a reason. The hand doesn't try to be the foot. The eye doesn't try to be the ear. Each part has its function, but when they operate together, the body moves effectively. That's what collaboration does. It allows each person to operate in their zone of grace, so that the whole mission advances with efficiency and excellence. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to do it all. You just need to know your role and connect with people who know theirs. And let me speak to the gifted, the driven, the ones who are used to carrying everything. You're capable, but are you collaborative? You're talented, but are you teachable? Because the smarter you get, the more you realize you need people. Not just to help you, but to balance you, to challenge you, to strengthen you. Working smart means building a circle, not just a platform. So I encourage you today, stop trying to climb alone. Destiny is not a ladder, it's a bridge. It's built with others. It's held up by trust, communication, and teamwork. You can go fast alone, but you can go far together. Don't just chase success. Build partnerships. Don't just gather people. Cultivate relationships. Don't just lead, connect. Because the next level of your life will not be reached in isolation. It will be reached through collaboration. We are living in a world that is changing faster than we can predict. Technology is evolving, markets are shifting, culture is transforming. What worked yesterday might be irrelevant tomorrow. The rules are being rewritten every day, and in the midst of all this rapid movement, one truth becomes crystal clear. Adaptability is no longer optional, it's essential. If you want to rise, if you want to thrive, if you want to be successful in this era, you can't just be smart, you've got to be flexible. Let me tell you something: the most dangerous mindset in this season is not ignorance. It's inflexibility, the refusal to change, the resistance to shift, the clinging to what used to work long after it stopped working. Some people are not stuck because of their enemies. They're stuck because of their inability to pivot. They built their life on an old system, and when the winds changed, they stood still. But if you're going to work smart, not just hard, you've got to be able to move with the moment. Look at nature. The tree that bends in the storm survives, but the one that refuses to bend breaks. Animals that adapt to their environment live. Those that don't, they go extinct. And if creation itself operates on the principle of adaptability, why are we, made in the image of God, trying to succeed by staying the same mindset, the same methods, the same strategy? You can't use an old map to find a new world. Some of you are frustrated because you're pouring effort into something that expired. You're still using the tools that worked in a past season, but this new season demands something different. You're praying for new results but using old routines. You want elevation, but you're afraid of evolution. But hear me, you can't work smart if you're afraid to shift. You can't win in today's world with yesterday's methods. The smartest people in the room are not always the most educated, they're the most adjustable. Even God doesn't move the same way all the time. Sometimes he speaks through fire, sometimes through wind, sometimes through a still small voice, sometimes he parts the Red Sea, sometimes he tells you to walk on water. Why? Because if he moved the same way every time, we would worship the method instead of the master. So if God is dynamic, why are you trying to stay static? Why are you committed to comfort instead of committed to purpose? Working smart means you pay attention to patterns, you discern shifts, you listen for signals, you stop saying, "But this is how we've always done it," and start asking, "God, what are you doing now?" You don't anchor your identity in your method, you anchor it in your mission. Because when your mission is fixed but your method is flexible, you become unstoppable. Let me give you an example. Blockbuster used to dominate the video rental world. They had the resources, they had the reach, but they refused to adapt. Netflix came along with a new model, a new mindset, a new way to deliver value. And while Blockbuster clung to the past, Netflix embraced the future. Today, one is a memory. The other is a movement, not because of strength, not because of hard work, but because of adaptability. You've got to learn how to reinvent yourself, not your calling, but your approach. You've got to know when to let go of what's not working, even if it used to work. Success is not about emotional attachment to a system. It's about strategic alignment with where things are going. And hear me, every season won't come with a warning. Sometimes the shift will be sudden. But those who are adaptable won't panic, they'll pivot. Adaptability also means you keep learning, you stay teachable, you stay curious, you don't act like you know it all. Because the minute you stop learning, you stop growing. The minute you say, "I already know," you start dying. Smart workers are students for life. They invest in learning new skills. They stay open to feedback. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, not just cheer for them. Because stagnation doesn't show up as laziness, it shows up as stubbornness. And let me go deeper, adaptability is not just about technology or business. It's spiritual. It's emotional. Some of you are stuck in grief from a door God already closed. Stuck in a mindset that no longer fits your calling. Stuck in fear of what's next because what's familiar felt safe. But God told Abraham, "Go to a land I will show you." He didn't give him a map, he gave him a moment. And Abraham had to adapt to the unknown. That's faith. That's movement. That's smart work. So I ask you today, what do you need to let go of? What do you need to change? What new thing do you need to embrace? You've got ideas, you've got strength, but are you willing to evolve? Because evolution is not betrayal, it's maturity. It's not abandonment, it's alignment. And if you refuse to change, you'll sabotage your own success. Adaptability is the ability to shift without losing your shape, to change without losing your core, to bend without breaking. That's what smart workers do. They read the times, they listen to the spirit. They adjust their sail, but they never lose their direction. Because success in this era won't go to the most talented, it'll go to the most adaptable. So be willing to grow, be willing to learn, be willing to pivot. Because working smart isn't just about doing it better, it's about doing it differently. When different is what destiny demands. My brothers and sisters, if you want to rise in this life, if you want to walk into your purpose, your destiny, your God-ordained assignment, you must stop wearing yourself down with hard labor that lacks divine direction. Working harder is not the commandment. Working smarter is the calling. This is not the season to just hustle. This is the season to harness. Harness your gifts. Harness your time. Harness your focus. Harness the wisdom God is pouring out right now. You've got to shift from motion to meaning, from effort to effectiveness. You've got to think before you move, plan before you build, align before you act. Your value is not measured by sweat, it is revealed by your strategy. Yes, we honor hard work, but we don't idolize it, because smart work is where the anointing meets the assignment. God is not calling you to grind yourself into the ground, He's calling you to elevate your mind. To manage, to multiply, to master your environment with wisdom. That's why He gave you vision. That's why He gave you discernment. That's why He gave you people. You were not designed to do this alone. You were not created to carry everything by yourself. You don't have to know everything, but you do need to build systems. You do need to collaborate. You do need to adapt. Because in the world we're living in now, your ability to adjust will determine your ability to advance. The old ways won't always carry new weight. What got you here may not get you there, and that's okay. That's not failure, that's growth. That's wisdom. That's success redefined. So I declare to you today, work smarter. Think higher, build deeper, trust wider, move faster, pray bolder, and as you align your actions with wisdom, as you trade exhaustion for execution, and sweat for strategy, watch what God will do. He's not just blessing effort, He's blessing excellence. He's blessing order. He's blessing structure. He's blessing the ones who stopped trying to do everything alone and started walking in divine alignment. This is your time. This is your moment. Go forth not just strong, but smart.